In 2003, in Spain, 7,447 people at high risk of heart disease joined a medical trial built to run for years. It was stopped early, not because something went wrong, because something went too right. One group had been asked to add extra virgin olive oil to their meals. They were having close to 30% fewer heart attacks, strokes, and cardiovascular deaths than the group simply told to eat less fat. The researchers decided it was no longer ethical to keep the others waiting. 30% from a bottle of pressed fruit. This tree has been cultivated for 8,000 years, and we are still finding out what it does. The olive was first domesticated between 6,000 and 8,000 years ago in the eastern Mediterranean, in the region of modern Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. The oldest known evidence of real olive oil production comes from a now submerged site off the coast of Israel, dated to roughly 6,000 years ago. This was never just a fruit people gathered. It was pressed, stored, and traded, one of the first processed foods in human history. And from that thin strip of coastline, it began to move west. It traveled along Phoenician and Greek trade routes until it was woven into the identity of the whole Mediterranean. In ancient Athens, the olive tree was sacred to the city, and uprooting one could be punished with exile. Victors at the Olympic Games were crowned not with gold, but with a wreath of olive branches. The oil-lit lamps dressed wounds, anointed kings and athletes, and preserved food. By the time Rome rose, the olive was no longer just a symbol. It had become industrial infrastructure, and the scale of it is still standing in the city today. In Rome, there is a hill called Monte Testaccio. It is not a natural hill. It is built almost entirely from broken pottery. The shattered clay jars called amphorae that carried olive oil into the city and were thrown away once emptied. Archaeologists estimate it holds the remains of around 53 million of them, representing as much as 6 billion liters of olive oil, discarded over roughly 250 years. An artificial mountain made from the packaging of a single product. So why did one city need such an ocean of oil? Part of the answer marched with the legions. Olive oil was one of the standard rations of the Roman soldier, issued alongside grain and sour wine, a dense source of calories that helped fuel the armies that built the empire. Our soldier simply happily lines up for his share. But Rome's hunger for oil went far beyond the plate. The Romans had no soap. To get clean, a soldier, an athlete, an emperor would rub olive oil all over the body, then scrape it off with a curved bronze tool called a strigil, dragging away the sweat, dust, and grime with it. Oil was food, lamplight, medicine, and soap all at once. A single fruit pressed into the daily fabric of an entire civilization. The olive tree also refuses to die. In the village of Anovouv, on the island of Crete, stands what is widely accepted as the oldest living olive tree on Earth. Its exact age cannot be measured. The heartwood rotted away long ago, taking the innermost rings with it. But ring analysis makes it at least 2,000 years old. And scientists at the University of Crete estimate it may be closer to 4,000. It has outlived empires, and it still produces olives every year. Simply isn't convinced, so he tastes one himself. So what is actually inside the oil? Start with the label, because it matters. Extra virgin means the oil was pressed mechanically from fresh olives, with no heat and no chemical solvents. Essentially fresh fruit juice, filtered. By weight, it is about 73% oleic acid, a monounsaturated fat tied to lower levels of LDL, the harmful cholesterol. That alone would make it good for the heart. But the oleic acid turned out to be the ordinary part of the story. The surprising part was not identified until 2005. In 2005, a researcher named Gary Beauchamp was tasting fresh extra virgin olive oil at a conference when it left a sharp, peppery sting at the back of his throat. A sensation he recognized exactly because he had felt it before while studying liquid ibuprofen. That coincidence led him to oleocanthal, a natural compound in extra virgin olive oil that blocks the same two enzymes, COX-1 and COX-2, that ibuprofen and other anti-inflammatory drugs act on. The oil was not imitating the drug. It was running the identical mechanism. How strong is that effect? By Beauchamp's own measurement, about 50 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil, roughly 3.5 tablespoons, carries the anti-inflammatory activity of around 10% of a standard adult dose of ibuprofen. That will never replace a painkiller, and it is not meant to. But it means a meal built around real olive oil delivers a small, genuine anti-inflammatory signal, repeated every day for years. Stretched across a lifetime, that steady low dose is one of the leading explanations for what the trial in Spain recorded. That trial deserves a closer look. It was called PREDIMED, from the Spanish for prevention with a Mediterranean diet. Those 7,447 high-risk adults were randomly assigned to one of three diets: Mediterranean plus extra virgin olive oil, Mediterranean plus mixed nuts, or a low-fat control. It was halted in 2013 when the olive oil group showed roughly 30% fewer major cardiovascular events. In 2018, the study was retracted over a flaw in how some participants had been randomized, then reanalyzed and republished, with the correction leaving the headline result essentially unchanged. The oleocanthal is just one member of a larger family, polyphenols. Extra virgin olive oil holds somewhere between 200 and 500 milligrams of them per kilogram, the compounds behind both its peppery bite and much of its measured effect on the body. This is where extra virgin stops being marketing. Refined olive oil, processed with heat and solvents to remove defects and extend shelf life, loses almost all of these polyphenols along the way. Same plant, two products, but only one still carries the chemistry the research is actually about. Which brings us to the most expensive myth about this oil, that you must never cook with it, because heat destroys what is valuable. The evidence says otherwise. Extra virgin olive oil smokes at around 190 to 207 degrees Celsius, above most home sautéing and roasting. And smoke point is not even the right measure. What matters is oxidative stability, how well a fat resists breaking down into harmful compounds when heated. In a 2018 test of 10 common cooking oils under high heat, extra virgin olive oil was the most stable of all of them, beating oils with far higher smoke points. Step back from the chemistry, and the tree itself is almost absurdly tough. It shrugs off drought. It grows in thin, rocky soil where little else survives. Cut it down or burn it, and it can regrow straight from its own roots. Out of that hardship comes a fruit that has served across 8,000 years as food, medicine, lamp fuel, currency, and sacred oil, often all at the same time. No other crop has been cultivated for so long, in so many roles, by so many civilizations at once. So here is the olive, whole. About 73% oleic acid, 2 to 500 milligrams of polyphenols per kilogram, a measurable dose of oleocanthal working like an anti-inflammatory drug, and the largest dietary trial ever run on it, recording roughly 30% fewer heart attacks and strokes. This is not a supplement or a superfood invented last year. It is pressed juice from a fruit that fed and healed the Mediterranean for 80 centuries. And modern science is mostly just catching up. The olive lasted 8,000 years by asking for almost nothing. Next time, a crop that demands the opposite and feeds half the planet anyway. 3.5 billion people eat it every single day. It supplies a fifth of all the calories humanity consumes, and it drinks up close to 40% of the world's irrigation water to do it. In one of the world's great food cultures, the everyday word for a meal is simply the word for this grain. Next time, rice.